could get you to go ahead and silence your phones and pay attention to the speakers up front. My name is Karen Maxwell. I'm Plan Section Chief Trainee. Welcome to the operational briefing for Saturday, August 25th. Make sure as you're out there in the field with your teams that you're covering the objectives with them on your 202. Make sure that everybody's aware of what our focus is, what our objectives are for the incident, if you would, please. I'm going to turn it over to Tom Bird, our instant meteorologist, and have him go over weather. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. Tom Bird, instant meteorologist. And let's get straight into the weather by looking at the current satellite imagery that we have across Texas, and what you'll notice out west, you got a few storms actually moving into far west Texas out of Mexico, and you've got some more debris clouds from overnight convection across the panhandle. The rest of the state looks pretty much clear in this picture, but it doesn't tell the whole story. This is looking at low-level clouds, and you can see there's an increased flow off the Gulf Coast, and that's brought a fair number of low clouds across the coastal plains into central Texas this morning, with some lower ceilings and visibilities associated with that. So there are more clouds across Texas than there were yesterday morning. This is a look at last night and yesterday afternoon's lightning activity. You'll notice it was all limited out to West Texas and into the high plains and the panhandle area. The rest of the state had no lightning. And this is a look at the 24-hour precipitation pattern across the state. And again, you'll notice it was all limited out west. There was really nothing else in any other parts of the state. So there's another look at the 7-day precipitation again in Texas, looking back from this morning, 7 days back to the 17th. And you'll note, as we've been seeing, a lot of dryness south and east, and you can see now some of that precipitation that was on the board a few days ago has fallen off of that 7-day period, so we're getting the increasing drying moving north across the state as we just don't add any more precipitation each day. So here's the highlights looking at today and then going forward. We're going to call this the dog days of summer. With that high pressure over us, we've gotten back into warmer than normal temperatures and relatively dry conditions. So we're hot and we're sizzling, and that's kind of the definition of the dog days. July and August is what we see that. That high pressure that I've been speaking of is going to shift east a bit and weaken somewhat, allow a little bit more Gulf moisture to move in across the coastal areas, and that's bring some showers to that area. And we'll still continue to see some of those monsoon storms clip west and north Texas as we go forward. So we'll still be hot, but with that high moving away, we'll probably trend down just a bit with the temperatures, but still be above normal. The RH with the increased Gulf flow will come up just a little bit, but still be low. And afternoons will be somewhat breezy, especially as you move west and into the central portion of the state. No big changes up ahead. We'll just continue with some semblance of high pressure across the southern tier of the United States will keep us from getting any kind of big systems that would move in and give us widespread heavy rainfall. So this is the weather pattern that we'll see this afternoon. You'll notice we continue with this trough out to the west, and that's what's going to help us get those breezy conditions in the afternoon hours. The moisture continues with the monsoon out west. We get the increased Gulf flow, which will help us get some showers along the Gulf Coast through the weekend. That high pressure that I've been speaking of is shifted off to the east a bit. This is what the model thinks the precipitation will look like, or the storm will look like this evening and this afternoon. So you can see there's an increased signature for storms along the Gulf Coast, and then we continue what we've been seeing the last several days with storms out west. Here's our temperatures for this afternoon, and the area of 100 degrees plus is starting to shrink just a little bit, but we're still very hot across the entire state. But there's where our hundreds will be, and then we continue with those high heat indices with those triple digits, and the increased humidity along the coast will be all the way up to maybe even 110 on the heat indices as you go down towards South Texas. Relative humidity is starting to creep up just a tiny bit, just 1 to 2 to 3% across the state, but still very low with a lot of sub 30% relative humidities as you get west of I-35. Here's our winds for this afternoon. And like we've been seeing, they're a little lighter to the east, but not quite as light as they have been. We continue with this band of a breezy afternoon flow, 18 to 20 miles an hour south in central Texas and increasing to 15 to 22 miles an hour as you get into North Texas this afternoon. All the winds will be predominantly from the south-southeast, except for when you get up north, they'll be more southerly. And here's where we expect the showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. Mainly west and then along the coast. And this is a look at 7 days going forward. So this is a forecast of the rainfall across the state as we move from today all the way to the end of the month. So this ends the evening of the 31st, and this gets us through the rest of August. You'll notice a huge portion of the state is forecast to be precipitation free. You'll see the increasing showers along the coast. We continue with that monsoon plume clipping West Texas, but most of the state will stay dry. And let's look down the road and see what we got in the tropics that might come in. And there's actually nothing across the Atlantic or in the Gulf. And we just got this one little disturbance out here. So there's really nothing to look forward to move in this way to help us get a lot of Gulf moisture in across the state. You'll notice I have this circled. This is actually today's look at what we have across the tropics. I'm going to get off topic for just a minute. If you don't want to watch this, you can fast forward the video. But this is an anniversary. It's a very significant anniversary because at 10 o'clock tonight, last year, a year ago, we had this making landfall, and that's Hurricane Harvey last year. This is its full track from start to finish, and when it was in the Atlantic, it never did reach hurricane status. For 2 days, it was a tropical storm, and then it diminished and became just a tropical depression again, got across the Yucatan, got into the warm Gulf waters. At that point, it rapidly intensified back into a tropical storm, and within 1 day, it was a hurricane. The next day, it was a Cat 4 major hurricane that came ashore in Rockport, Texas at 10 o'clock at night at 130 miles an hour on the sustained winds. Here are some animations of it coming on shore with both radar and satellite, just so you can see what it looked like. A very, very, very impressive eye there as it came across. Really huge area of rain bands. This is what it did to Houston. This is just one picture out of thousands that I could have put in here. The forecast wasn't always this high and for rainfall, but ended up forecasting 25 to 35 plus inches of rain across this area, including Houston, Victoria. 125 billion in damages. That ties with Katrina for number one on the most costliest tropical storm system in the United States. There's the actual precipitation that we saw across southwest Texas into Louisiana. Houston circled here. It was 30 to 50 inches widespread. The highest was over 60 inches, and a typical year brings 49.77 inches to Houston. So basically Houston got 1 year's worth of rain in 3 days as this system stalled over East Texas. And unfortunately, there were 68 deaths, most of them were in and around Houston, attributed to this storm system. And I hate to end weather on that, but that's where we are, and today we don't see anything like that, so we'll move on to operations.
Good morning, everyone. Rich Gray, Operations. Yesterday, quite a busy day across the state. Several new fires that we had crews going to. Kind of a recap on that. Up in Montague County, had the Valley Road fire. Task Force 11 IA'd that, and I'll be back out on it today. 81 acres, 80% contained. Also in the Northwest Branch, three-way road fire in Archer County, 243 acres. That's 100%, and then turned back to locals, and they the locals will be patrolling, mopping that up today. Central Branch was really busy yesterday also. Had the Cali Road fire in Bastrop County, 10 acres, 100% contained. The Muth fire also in Bastrop County, 30 acres, 95% contained. And then County Road 233 fire, that's 20 acres, 50% contained in Burleson County. Task Force 6 will split their resources today to continue to get those fires to 100%. Over in the East Branch, had the one new fire, Morris Fire, up in northeast Texas, 19 acres. They are 100%, and they wrapped up both the large fires, Walker East, 764, 100% contained, and Walker West, 432 acres and 100% contained. The other carryover fires that we had in the North Branch and Central Branch, or I'm sorry, Northwest Branch, are all 100% and not staffed today. So again, yesterday was a busy day. Today, same weather conditions as you heard, so all the IA resources need to maintain that situational awareness. Look in your IAP for any changes. We do have DMOBs today. We did open one new pre-positioning area in South Texas down at Uvalde, and Task Force 42 that was in Fredericksburg is at that staging area today. Most of our home task forces that are in the area, branches that had decent green up still have fire danger in spots, and they will all be available for this weekend. So thanks, and y'all have a safe day.
Good morning, Mickey Button, Safety Officer. Like I say, we had no accidents or injuries yesterday, and again, I want to thank everybody for that. That's everybody in the field doing their job out there, keeping situation awareness high, and I thank you for that. We've had several fires yesterday, as Ops is talking about, and the temperature that the weather IMAT's talking about is going to be hot and dry again today. Temperature's up in the 100, and that means our people are out there with having the fires are out there on the fires now. They're out there in this hot temperature working, so that means that you need to drink plenty of water, make sure you stay hydrated, and if you look in your IAP today, you'll see that there's a article in there about body core heat, about why you need to cool off, make sure you keep your body core heat down. The other thing too is we're starting to work closer south, and we're getting closer to the border. I'd like to remind everybody that if you haven't had the course or on the border patrol, the dangers and stuff down there, to make sure you get with somebody local there in the unit there, and let they go over the hazards that you're going to have as you do your in briefing there, and as you do your tailgate session, go over the hazards that you've got working down there along that border down there, because it is dangerous. And the last thing we'll talk about is yesterday they was talking about this cow tick disease fever that you have down south. I'd just like to remind everybody that is not a human thing. It only affects cows and animals, so it's not transmitted to humans. So we'll treat it just as just a tick disease, which means, if you get a tick on you, you pull it off and you keep it and make sure that nothing else develops as far as any other type of tick disease on that. And the treatment for it is make sure you got just some kind of a spray that's got DEET in it, and you can spray around your britches, legs, and around your waist and stuff like that. That's the way we do that. But as far as the disease itself, it is strictly for animals, not transmitted to human beings. Thank you for safety.
Well, good morning, Les Rogers, IC. Finance and Logistics didn't have anything, but if you need them, give us a call here at the ICP. I'm going to ask Tom, can you go back one slide, Tom? Maybe you can take that off, if you can. So Tom said this really doesn't pertain a lot to operations, but I think it kind of does, because now where we received all that rainfall a year ago, that is our driest fuels over the state of Texas now. So think about that. We got all this rain last year. We had a year of growth, and so we have not only a heavy fuel load out there, but also the driest fuel. So keep that in mind. If you go out there, we're going to have plenty of fuels to carry the fire, and it's going to be very important for us to stay back and make sure that it's put to bed and mopped up. So, and the other thing is, just want to reemphasize kind of what Mickey said. We're looking down further along the border, looking at some counties. If we end up doing any suppression activities, back along this area here, operations will get with those resources that are going out in the field, and we'll talk about if we have to decon or anything like that. It's not a big deal. It's just for our equipment. It's not for the human beings. So with that, just have a good day. Thanks.
All right, everyone go ahead and turn your phones back on, head out, and have a good day.